us today and sharing that insight. Now we move on to our next news. EU countries have signed off on a new package of sanctions on Russia over the war in Ukraine, including lowering a price cap on Moscow's oil exports. The 18th round of economic punishment against Russia since its 2022 invasion was approved. This was approved after Slovakia dropped a weeks-long block following talks with Brussels over separate plans to phase out Russian gas imports. As part of the new sanctions designed to sap Russia's war chest, diplomats said the EU has agreed to lower its price cap on Russian oil exported to third countries around the world to 15% below market value. That comes despite EU allies failing to convince US President Donald Trump to go along with the plan. That comes despite EU allies failing to convince. Let's listen into what Benjamin Haddad, Minister of Delegate for European Affairs of France, has to say about the latest sanctions.
Et donc la seule façon de pouvoir mettre fin à cette guerre, de remettre les parties autour de la table des négociations et de créer les conditions d'une paix juste et durable en Europe, c'est d'accroître fondamentalement la pression sur la Russie sur le plan militaire en continuant les livraisons d'armes à l'Ukraine qui se défend courageusement et sur le plan économique avec les sanctions. Et ce 18e paquet de sanctions est une avancée majeure. Il y a eu un effort diplomatique considérable qui a été fait par la France avec ses partenaires pour son adoption.
Commenting on the new sanctions, Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs of France has said that France has played a key role in this decision together with the United States and said that it will compel Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire. Now we're joined by Glenn Grant. He's an ex-advisor to Ukrainian Defense Minister, joining us live from Latvia. Thank you, Glenn, for joining us today. Welcome to NewsX World. Now, what's your analysis? Do you think this is effective, this new sanctions, 18th round of sanctions that is targeting Russia's oil exports more aggressively?
Well, I think the first thing you've got to ask yourself is, if sanctions are supposed to work, why are we now on the 18th round? Why didn't the first, second, 15th, 16th rounds work? Your answer is, of course, that sanctions are only part of the deal to actually get anything happening. This particular round is targeting oil. It's targeting financial institutions, although I can't quite yet find out exactly what they're targeting in that. And it's also targeting the ships that are carrying the Russian oil. The thing that you have to remember is that the prices that they're talking about now of a lower price of 47.6 per dollar for the dollar is only a small amount reduced from what it was previously. Russia can produce oil in most places around about $40 for the gallon. So they've still got capacity, but that's only the production cost. Russia needs about $90 for each gallon sold to actually to cover the cost of the war. And their problem is that there are other countries at the moment that are taxing their oil less than Russia, so they can sell more cheaply.
And given that some EU member states like Slovakia was initially resisting the sanctions, and also US under President Donald Trump declined to support this price cap, how concerned are you about cracks in Western unity?
I think I'm less concerned about cracks in Western unity because there's been cracks all the way through this war. I'm more concerned about the inability of the European Union to actually to enforce its sanctions, because it's no good having a sanction if then China just goes around the outside and delivers money to Russia by another means. Because I mean, there are so many countries that are helping Russia, whether it's China, whether it's India, whether it's Switzerland, that it's extremely difficult for the European Union to actually put its finger on top of these things and make them happen. And it's more difficult if America doesn't play, because it's the American financial system that actually has the real clout in the world in enforcement. And without Donald Trump backing things, that makes enforcement 10 times more difficult.
And Glenn, now lastly, with the new sanctions aiming to phase out Russian energy from Europe, how is Ukraine coordinating with its European partners to ensure continued military and economic support amid the long-term energy and security realignment?
It's interesting. I don't think those two things are related at all at the moment, because we've seen all, the ups and downs with oil, with Slovakia, with Hungary, and people still taking Russian oil. I mean, the European Union at the moment is still giving more money to Russia than it's actually giving to Ukraine for this energy thing. So they've got a lot of work to do to cut down the amount of hard cash that Russia gets from European Union countries on oil. But support for Ukraine is like a totally separate matter. So I don't think the two are linked sufficiently strongly for reductions in oil to Russia to make much difference to what goes on with Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Grant, for joining us today and sharing your insight as an ex-advisor to Ukrainian Defense Minister all the way from Latvia. Now we have a breaking news. Russian lawmakers